I'm not ashamed to own my Lord, nor to defend his cause. Maintain the honors of his word, the glory of his cross.
Hello, I am James Brown, and on behalf of the Eastern Church of Christ located in Toronto, Canada, I'd like to welcome you to Wednesday's edition of Walking Through the Bible, a podcast where we seek to study the Bible and the Bible alone. Please stick around afterwards for information on how you can contact us. But for now, if you have a Bible with you, please turn to the book of Genesis, and we'll turn you over to Jeremy Dieselkamp for our study of the day.
Thank you, James, and welcome to all of our viewers. This is the 110th lesson in our study of Genesis. Yesterday we covered Genesis chapter 31, verses 33 to 42, discussing Laban's failing to find his idols among Jacob's possessions. If you missed that episode and would like to watch it, you can find it and all of our other podcasts on our website at www.easternchurch.org. You can also find them on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/EastEndChurchOfChrist under the Walking Through the Bible Genesis playlist. Today we're going to begin with Genesis 31 verse 43 and read through verse 55. The text that you'll see on the screen is from the English Standard Version, but you're welcome to follow along with any version that you have. So let's now read Genesis 31 beginning at verse 43. Then Laban answered and said to Jacob, "The daughters are my daughters, the children are my children, the flocks are my flocks, and all that you see is mine. But what can I do this day for these daughters, or for their children, whom they have borne? Come now, let us make a covenant, you and I, and let it be witness between you and me." So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. And Jacob said to his kinsmen, "Gather stones." And they took stones and made a heap, and they ate there by the heap. Laban called it Jegar Sahadutha, and Jacob called it Gilead. Laban said, "This heap is a witness between you and me today." Therefore he named it Gilead. And Mizpah, for he said, "The Lord watch between you and me when we are out of one another's sight. If you oppress my daughters, or if you take wives besides my daughters, although no one is with us, see, God is witness between you and me." Then Laban said to Jacob, "See this heap and the pillar which I have set between you and me. This heap is a witness, and the pillar is a witness, that I will not pass over this heap to you, and you will not pass over this heap and this pillar to me to do harm. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge between us." So Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac, and Jacob offered a sacrifice in the hill country and called his kinsmen to eat bread. They ate bread and spent the night in the hill country. Early in the morning Laban arose and kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them. Then Laban departed and returned home. In this chapter we find Jacob fleeing from Laban's house in Haran along with his family and flocks and going towards Canaan, the land that God promised Jacob's descendants. Laban didn't know that Jacob was leaving, and when he finally caught up with him in the hills of Gilead, he complained to Jacob for his deception and for stealing his idols. Jacob allowed Laban to search for the idols, and when they were not found, Jacob gave Laban a tongue lashing for mistreating him all these years when Jacob served Laban faithfully. In today's reading, we find that this verbal assault did get to Laban a bit, for he denied any intention of hurting his daughters, his grandchildren, or his flocks. Note here, however, that Laban still considered all of these as his, despite Jacob working 14 years for Rachel and Leah and 6 years for the flock. They weren't his anymore. They were Jacob's, gained through honest work. In order to settle things, Laban proposed that he and Jacob enter into a covenant. Jacob agreed and took a stone to set up as a pillar as a witness to the agreement. He then told his kinsmen to gather stones, which they did to make a heap. They ate by the heap to commemorate the bargain. Laban called the heap by an Aramaic name, while Jacob named it in Hebrew Gilead. The meaning of the name is heap of witness. Laban is the one who set the terms of the covenant. In doing so, Laban treated Jacob like a man who could not be trusted. He told Jacob not to mistreat his daughters and not to marry other women besides his daughters. With respect to him, Laban promised not to pass over this heap of witness in order to exact revenge on Jacob, and Jacob was to reciprocate. In addition to this, Laban called the pillar by the second name, Mizpah, which means watchtower. This again showed us that Laban doesn't trust Jacob, for he believes that God needs to watch Jacob to ensure that he did not break the bargain. We're going to find this Mizpah again in the story of Jephthah found in Judges 11:29. Laban then called on the God of Abraham, Nahor, and Terah to judge this covenant between the two of them. Jacob agreed to the covenant and swore by God Almighty that he would uphold it. Jacob sealed the covenant by offering a sacrifice, after which he called his kinsmen to eat with him. In the morning, Laban gives his farewells to his daughters and grandchildren and departed. This is the last time we'll meet Laban in the Bible. We're not even told when he died, but since we don't read of him again, we can know that both he and Jacob lived up to this covenant. With that, our time is up for today. Please join us, the Lord willing, tomorrow, when we will continue our study of Genesis, beginning with Genesis 32, verse 1.
Thank you, Jeremy. And to our viewers, we also thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button below. Should you have any questions or comments, please leave a comment below or email us at answerintheword@gmail.com. We'll try to respond to you as quickly as we can. We hope you'll join us, the Lord willing, tomorrow when we'll be continuing our study of the book of Genesis. Goodbye for now and have a great day.
I'm not ashamed to own my Lord.